As long as you're alive, no matter what you do, you're all in. So you might as well play the most magnificent game you can while you're waiting. These are words to live by from Jordan Peterson, a Canadian professor of psychology whose rise to fame was rather sudden and is now hailed as a virtual father to the modern man. Today we're going to tell you about the lessons that men learn too late in life so that you can get a head start in becoming the person you dream to be. Welcome back to Victorious Visions, and make sure to subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon so you never miss any updates. Peterson's views on the modern world, free speech, feminism and masculinity have drawn all sorts of reactions, from praise and support to hate and ridicule. And yet, the thought-provoking philosophies certainly do make him stand out from the crowd. So without further ado, let's have a look at the insightful lessons that will make you a stronger and a wiser man. Number 1. Being too nice makes you weak. While being nice and agreeable is often praised, sometimes a person goes so far trying to make others feel comfortable that they forget to figure out what they themselves want. Your agreeableness might make you want to run away from conflicts by hiding the truth about what you really think. On the other hand, a disagreeable person knows exactly what they want, how they will get it, without backing down or bowing to anyone. If we try to understand this in the context of a trading game, a nice person wants the benefit of both sides, and might even bargain harder on behalf of the opponent than their own. A not-so-nice person, however, will consider that each team bears the responsibility to take care of their own interests and will not back down until they strike a good deal. This situation makes it easy to see how nice people are likely to be exploited. Women want an agreeable mate to start a family with, who will be able to care for them, and at the same time the ideal partner must be disagreeable enough to protect their family. To some extent, this explains the bad boy paradox, because a lot of nice guys are completely terrified when approaching someone they find attractive. Number 2. Comparing yourself creates irreversible consequences.
You're a young man, you see someone drive by in a Ferrari with a blonde, and you think, my God, he's got everything. And, you know, the woman in the car is a prostitute who's got a cocaine addiction, and her life is just one catastrophe after another. And he's had to lie and cheat his way into this position, and he's afraid that everything's going to come crashing down on him, and that's what you're jealous of. And it's just not that profound. You don't want someone else's fate. Man, your fate's enough.
Even the best of us compare our flawed selves to the shiny, attractive exteriors of other people and tend to get bitter and resentful without knowing the complete truth of what lies underneath it. The perfection that you feel inferior to is an illusion in itself. Even the fortunate ones have struggles of their own that most people cannot see. That's why Peterson advocates for comparing yourself to who you were yesterday, not who someone else is today. Apart from this, you are an individual who is different from everyone else, not just in terms of your personality, but also the unique set of circumstances that you've been through. They don't have the same temperament as you, or the same family, the same struggles and insecurities, or the same strengths and skills. So how can you measure your progress against that of another person when you didn't even start off at the same place as them? You are the only person in the world with the same advantages and disadvantages, and that's why you should continuously strive to outbest your current flawed self. Whenever the question arises, who should you defeat in the final analysis, the only answer should be, you should defeat your former self. Stay tuned because there are some real gems coming your way. Number 3, you should be a monster.
You know, because everyone says, well, you should be harmless, virtuous. You shouldn't do anyone any harm. You should sheath your competitive instinct. You shouldn't try to win. You know, you don't want to be too aggressive. You don't want to be too assertive. You want to take a back seat and all of that. Wrong. You should be a monster, an absolute monster, and then you should learn how to control it.
In a world which teaches you to sheath your competitive instinct by constantly preaching to be virtuous and harmless, you should be a monster. Stop putting all your energy into trying not to be too aggressive and too assertive. Rather, unleash the monster inside of you, get familiar with it and learn to control it. It's not noble to be docile and without any capacity for harming anyone. Instead, true nobility lies in choosing not to misuse your powers. As the saying goes, it's better to be a warrior in a garden than to be a garden in a war. There is nothing wrong with trying to win and being competitive, as long as you're not misusing your capabilities by trying to cheat or repress others. You have to be a bit of a monster to effectively enforce your personal boundaries and say no without any scope for further negotiations. And strangely enough, this makes you a better person than being harmless yet resentful of the world around you. Number 4. Responsibility is a man's most underrated skill. You must make space in your life for the belief that you have something of importance and value to contribute to the world, without which the world would surely be a lesser place. This belief is what will sustain you through life and drive you towards your highest potential by imbibing you with a sense of responsibility towards the world you live in. Even in the context of dating culture, men and women are getting increasingly reluctant to commit and take responsibility of a romantic relationship, thinking that relationship might get in the way of achieving something great. But what they fail to realize is there is nothing more valuable than a loving and a supportive relationship that sustains itself through time. So don't be afraid of responsibility, and even if you are afraid of it, don't let that fear stop you from pursuing it. Number 5. Being confident is the most important male quality. The key to being confident is to focus outward. Let's try to explain this statement in the context of a situation with high social interaction, such as a party. If a person feels socially anxious while entering a party, he will feel like he's facing a monster who is dominating him by means of negative judgment. And as a result, his instincts will tell him to present himself as a non-threat by means of submissive body language like hunched shoulders and downcast gaze. This body language promotes the internal thought process to become self-focused. So by constantly wondering how he must be looking to other people and what they be thinking about him, this person perpetuates the cycle of awkwardness as his conversations are filled with disjunctions and seem disharmonious and forced because he's not paying attention to the other person, only himself. Instead, if this same person is encouraged to engage his eyes and look at the person he's talking to, he'll easily be able to judge what they are thinking by their facial expressions and body language. By focusing on them, his attention is pushed outward, which also makes it easier to spot the problem area and actively fix it. Number 6. Bad habits ruin your future. It's no secret that indulging in substance abuse, porn, excessive drinking, and poor physical health have a negative impact on your life. Everyone knows that their bad habits are ruining their life on some level or the other, and still they're having a hard time letting go of these habits in spite of the regret. You need to visualize what a positive view of your life would be without these habits, and you also need to figure out what would happen if your negative habits got out of control. It's not as simple as just trying to quit porn, which will only make someone crave the instant gratification it gives, even if it's short-term. Rather, what you need is a vision of a successful life that is more compelling than the porn, because the real issue is that you're not fulfilled by your current life. You also need a counter vision of the hell you would be in if your habit got worse with time, and how it's going to hurt you, negatively affect your self-esteem and isolate you from your peers. Number 7, know thyself.
So try it for a week. It's nothing, right? And you might think, oh God, what you'll find if it works is, A, you don't get nearly as upset about the things that used to upset you. So, and that'll be a shock. You'll think, God, I would have flown off the handle because of that before, and now it's hardly bothering me. So that's a lovely thing. And then the second thing is, if something bothers you, you'll recover way faster.
One of the major ways that you can progress with getting to know yourself is to accept that you actually don't. It will help you observe yourself more neutrally and adopt a position of humility. While it is difficult to recognize that you're unaware of who you are, it also comes with the benefit of being ignorant to the person you're going to be, opening you up to an endless amount of possibilities. As you discover who you are, you will discover more of your potential, especially your potential for mayhem. This realization brings you the strength and ambition to incorporate this dark side with your higher order personality, turning you into a person who can defend his boundaries fearlessly. Number 8, don't F up your life. It's understandable to be clueless when you're a teen and full of potential, but you can't put it off forever. What do you do instead? You accept that life is suffering and then try your best to overcome it, to make life better for yourself and those around you. Nobody can predict how life will turn out for you unless you give it all you've got. Peterson explains that Kierkegaard's famous leap of faith means to commit first, because you can't find out the consequence of the decision without making the decision. There are some games that you don't get to play unless you're all in, just like life. That's all for this video. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel Victorious Visions, and we'll see you soon.